Africa, the landscape of education is evolving. Technology is at the forefront, reshaping the way we learn. EduTab Africa, based in Kenya, is a company dedicated to leveraging technology for educational advancement while also considering the digital divides in different contexts. We collaborate with diverse partners spanning government, academia, private enterprises, and international development sectors. Together, we explore and innovate new learning pathways using technology. Our team specializes in crafting bespoke digital learning materials and learning management systems tailored to each learner's unique needs as well as offline contexts. Embracing STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, we empower educators and students with captivating and playful learning experiences. Join us as we revolutionize education in Kenya, striving to make learning accessible and enriching for all. This is our mission. This is our passion. EduTab Africa, transforming education through innovative technology solutions. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Magdalene Chorongo from EduTab Africa. It's really wonderful to see you here on a Friday evening. Welcome so much. So with me, I'm joined by my colleagues. Kindly turn your videos on and say, just wave your hand. Thank you. Thank you so much, Faith. Thank you so much, Victor. Yeah, thank you so much. So, um, just to mention some few house rules, I would love us to keep our mics muted if you're not talking. Okay, and then if you'd love to ask a question or maybe share anything, yeah, feel free to raise your hand. So for those who do not know how to navigate the toolbar at the bottom, for you to unmute, there's a mic icon there. You can unmute and speak, and then under reaction, you can raise your hand. You also feel free to use the chat box in case you want to communicate anything. Yes. Yes, but all in all, I welcome us for a very, very engaging session, Scratch session today. We'll be covering creating interactive projects in Scratch. Yes, thank you so much. So without further ado, let me share my screen. So also feel free to share in the chat your name, where you're joining from, and what you are so interested in learning today. Feel free to share in the chat your name, where you're joining us from, and what is exciting you or what you're excited about learning today. Yes. Faith, please help me navigate the chat. Okay, so we'll be moving on, but feel free to share in the chat and we'll be moving on to the next session. Yeah. So today's webinar, as I mentioned, we'll be covering creating engaging projects in Scratch. But first, I would love us to have a recap of what we learned in our last webinar, which happened on the International Day of Education. Okay, so in our last webinar, we covered the basics of Scratch. We learned about the Scratch interface, how the code area works, the stage area, and the sprites area, how to upload sprites, how to change backgrounds. That is what we learned in our previous webinar. So in this particular webinar, we'll explore the same, but now we'll incorporate more commands and more functions to make our projects more interactive. So we'll get to know what creative learning is. We'll get to understand how interactive sprites look like. You know, you can just upload a sprite and it's just there. Do you make it sing? Do you make it talk? Do you make it walk? If it's a butterfly, how do you make it actually fly instead of, just gliding? Okay. Yes. And we'll be sharing reflections, and if time allows, we'll be sharing reflections, and if time allows, we'll have one of us sharing the experience using Scratch. Yes, thank you so much. So, in the meantime, I would love to share a poll so that we can get to understand our level of comfort with Scratch. So, the poll will pop up on your screen. So, you just answer from from your screen. You just tap your learning level on Scratch. Yes, so yeah, as I prepare the poll, I could see Samuel says he's from Malindi. Thank you so much, Samuel, for joining us. Thank you so much, Patrick, for joining us today. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and launch the poll. So now a poll should have appeared on your screen. Just answer the place that you are comfortable. Your where you've reached with your learn. Just answer your learning level in Scratch. So it could be you're new to Scratch. I understand that maybe some of us have maybe never interacted with Scratch before. It could be that you are new to Scratch, or you can make a sprite move across the screen when clicked, or maybe you can create interactive projects where characters move slowly, respond to user inputs, include simple mechanics like scoring. This happens while you're creating games, or maybe you are already in the advanced level. You can build advanced projects with dynamic elements like duplicating characters, using Scratch extensions, and animations that adapt to player actions. So yes, um, I can see we are 9 participants, and very few of us, only 20% have voted. Only 20% have voted. So I would love to give us time to like share. Just click where your level of learning Scratch you feel that you've reached. We are still at 20%. I would love us to reach at least 80%. Okay. Yes, we're growing. We are at 40. Yes. 40, 80. That's really nice. That's really nice. So let me share results with us. So most of us in this forum are new to Scratch, which is just okay. Uh, this is good news that we'll explore Scratch together today. Yes, and most 75% can make a sprite move across the screen when clicked. That is really, really, really wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. So at this juncture, I would love to welcome our presenter of the day that will take us through the session, get to build interesting projects that, yeah, get to build the interactive project. So feel free to contribute in the comments, feel free to unmute and make any suggestions in our project. Yes, so help me welcome Victor on stage. Please share some reactions for Victor on the chat box. Thank you so much, Faith. Victor, over to you.
We've seen a recap on what we were able to do the last webinar, um, and we are going to pick up from where we left last time. And we are going to see how we can make uh, creative projects using Scratch and also making the sprites to be interactive. How are we going to make our characters to be live, but not just moving like or acting like robots? And through this, we are going to go through hands-on skills to go through this. And in this project, we are going to go through the creative learning spiral. And what are these creative learning spiral? So don't try to think about the title, but try to think in terms of um, projects, play, peers, and passion. So for you to, so how are you conjoining or how are you relating this for learning spirals, creative learning spirals together? For you to have to for you to create something, you need to have a passion about it. Are we having passion about Scratch as we go through this together? And we are going to go through this through play and peers, which all of us who are going to participate through this webinar together. And I hope we are going to have a wonderful interaction together. Um, Next, I'm going to talk to you about the Scratch guiding principles. In these Scratch guiding principles, we have low floors, wide floors, and high floors. So for low floors, what do we mean by low floors and high ceilings? For low floors, it's just an easy way for beginners to get started, and um, a high ceiling is a way to work on more complex projects over time. And so we are not only going to go through these two pathways. Wide walls is just a way to explore multiple ways, um, like from low ceilings to high ceilings. And wide walls also help. It always helps us support wide diversity of pathways and projects. Um, Okay, for creative learning spiral, this is just a way to help you have a wonderful time while you are working through or going through your project in Scratch. So it's always good for you to have a project in mind. So if you have a project in mind, it's always easier for you to navigate, given that you already know what you're going to work through. And also, so after you've imagined you're going to create one um, through play and share, and then afterwards you are going to reflect. And just to remind everyone, please feel free to interject me anywhere you have a question, um, so that we can be moving together. And if you are left behind, please just remind us. And at this point, we want to take most of the time trying to go through a simple project together. And I want our participants to help us in the chat with a simple project that we are going to work together. Please feel free to give your suggestion in the chat, or if you want to unmute your mic, please feel free to unmute and give us a suggestion of a project that we're going to work together.
Michael Mombo says we can use shapes.
Thank you so much about that. So how can we use shapes, or how can we integrate shapes using Scratch? How can we teach learners to learn using shapes? So if I'm not wrong, just feel free to tell me if I'm wrong. So this is about learning using shapes. And we are going to use Scratch in this matter. So I hope everyone can see my next screen. So we are going to create something. Just a moment. Please, if you have different projects, just feel free to uh, pop something in the chat so that we can go together. So First of all, I'm going to try and name uh, my projects to shapes. Okay. So what do we know about shapes? Um, First of all, I'm going to remove the default sprite, which is my cat here. And I hope everyone can see my screen clearly. Um, First of all, the, what do we know when we hear about shapes? These are things like circles, rectangles, squares, and more shapes. So how are we going to be interactive about shapes using Scratch? And how are we going to make this fun for kids in the classroom? Um, I'm going to just go through the interface of Scratch once more. For those who are new, on the left side, we can see the block of our blocks, and on the left, this is our playground area. So this is where we see our sprites in action. Yeah. And at the bottom right, we can see where we can choose our sprites or characters, and then the backdrops, which is just simply our background. So how do you want your backgrounds to look like? Which characters do you want, or which objects do you want to use in your project? This is a very good knowledge to have, so that you can create a very interesting Scratch project. And I'm going just to go through the sprites so that we can see what we have here. We can see multiple sprites here, which these ones are all sprites that we can have. And then we can choose between animals, people, fantasy, dance, music, sports, and many more, even letters in this matter. Um, so you can choose between food, fashion, and much more. Um, just to go back, for the backdrops, we have fantasy backdrops, music, um, sports, outdoors, indoors, and much more. And remember that we are not only stuck on those ones. You can upload your own backdrops from a computer, or you can also paint your own. Same for the sprites. And in this matter, shapes, how are we going to try to incorporate shapes into the classroom? And please feel free to have some suggestions in the chat.
There is a suggestion. Uh, Maybe learn about different shapes, that is Magdalene, and also suggest that if a shape appears, the name should also appear. She has suggested things like square, rectangle, triangle, circles, and hexagon.
Thank you so much about that. Um, so, trying to create shapes that appear when names are shown, right? Amazing, amazing. So, right now we are going to see if we have some shapes in here. So, let me try to see square. So, we don't have any shape at the moment. So at this point, how are we going to create some few shapes? So I'm just going to paint one. Roughly, it's not going to be accurate, but so let me draw. Um, let's assume this one is a square. Okay, so I go back to my code. So I'm going to start my programs from the events. So we need to have an event. So in this matter, I want us to use keyboard keys to try and make an interactive shapes that are going to teach our learners. So when space key is pressed, we are going to do something. So it's not only limited to space. So if you click the drop down, you can see multiple keys that you are going to click. It can be arrow keys to show something or much more. Or you can even use other events like when this sprite is clicked, it shows a name. So let me try and use that one for the moment. Um, so when the sprite is clicked, I want, so for this one is a square. For example, I want it to show that this one is a square. So on the looks, I'm going to, um, so I'm going to show, to say something, um, to say that I am a square. I am a square. So let's try by clicking the sprite. So as you can see, we have I am a square showing for 2 seconds. And how can we increase the time for the text to show? So we can say for 5 seconds. So when I click um, my square, it shows that I am square. So I'm going to try and create a new, another, um, another um, object, which is a circle. It's not perfect, but almost like a circle. Okay. So when I go back to my code, so in this case, we have two sprites um, in the playing field at the same time. You can drag um, it to another place so that they are not over each other. And as you can see for the circle, which let me just rename it. You can rename it under costumes. Please. Okay. The same goes for this. So it's not going to show while you've enlarged your screen, so the students won't guess. So this can be asking about students. Which shape is this? So they can tell you before you click. Then if you click, it shows up the name of the object. So for this one, I'm going to say again. Uh, so I'm going to use a different um, event right now, which is when space key is pressed, I want this to show that it's a circle. So I'm going to say something like I am a circle. So I'm going just to say for 3 seconds. And I I know that you can't see when I'm pressing the space bar, but I'll just click it. So if I click it, you can see that it's showing that I'm a circle. See, so this can be very interactive um, for any object. And I want us to try and incorporate sound in this project so that you can see that it's not just for text and also trying to improve the grammar for our learners in the classroom. So how do we incorporate sound? sound in this situation. So we are going, as you can see on my left, on the chord section, there are blocks which show motion, look, sound, and much more. So I'm going to click on sound, and you can see many options for sound. Like you can start a sound in pop, or you can record your own sound. There are very many sounds. So at the top where you can see the tabs for chord, costumes, and sounds. So you can choose many sounds from there and also upload your own or record your own. So from here you can see different sounds from space pods, voice, loops, and much more. So right now I'm going back to my code, and I want us to play um, a sound. At the same time, I want us to display the name of the shape on the screen. So how are we going to do this? Um, we are going to use controls in this. Uh, pardon, we are going to use events. How do we make this work simultaneously? First of all, let me just play for you so that we can hear the sound. So this one is a pop, so it's not a circle. Um, so it's very low, but I hope you can hear the pop. So we are going to record our own sound in this.
Victor,
Yep.
um, before you proceed, there is a question in the chat if we can have different colors of the shapes.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can have different colors. Um, so I'm just going to show you under the costumes that we have created. You can even duplicate the shapes as many times as you want. And then on the fill at the top, you can see, you can fill different colors. So in this matter, we want um, just a moment. Just let me try to see. Just a moment. Okay, so it's not changing. Let us try another way. So let's use the bucket instead to fill. Okay. So sorry. Um, so you need to highlight um, your object first before you change the color. So in this matter, we are going to use, so I'm going to use a solid color in this. And then for this one, I'm going to change it to this color. So let me just change for this one to this color. So you can have multiple colors for the same, and you can try to when I click it, it changes. So in this matter, how are you going to work around this? When I go to controls, so you can see that you can do many loops, like 10, or uh, you can even change to 5, or many different ways. So I'm just going to um, use, so before that, I want us to first change one color at a time. So when I click the spacebar, I want this circle to change to a new color. So in your looks, there is something called a next costume. So in this matter, the next costume is the ones that are here. So we can have costume 1, costume 2, and much more. So when I add the next costume here, right now it's purple, but when I click my space key, you can see that it has changed to a new color. When I click the space key again, it will display for 3 seconds first before it shows another costume. So in this matter, you can decide to put it before here so that there is no delay in changing the colors. So you can play around. And how can we make it to change several times? Like when I click it, it shows like in a loop for some few times. So in controls, you can add a loop either for some few loops like 5 seconds or 2, um, or you can decide to do it forever. So when I click my spacebar, it's going to do this 2 times. As you can see, the color has changed at least 2 times. Um, so I wanted us to see how we can add like even sound in this matter. Um, we are going to record just a simple sound. I'm going. You can see under this we can record. So okay, let me allow, then record. Circle. Okay, so let's play circle. Okay, thank you for that. So as you can see, it has it's added here. So I'm just going to rename this so that I can easily identify the sounds that are here. So as you can see, the sounds are added here at the bottom. So when I go back to my sound, I can now see the circle here. And I want this to show simultaneously when the word circle is shown. So for this, I'm going to create an event called broadcast a message. So I'm going to broadcast a message and wait just above, uh, just before the circle shows. Uh, okay, I'm trying to, let me use first the broadcast message before I wait. So for the wait, we'll wait for this broadcast message to work before it initiates the next event, the next step. So I'm just going to rename this to a new message called um, circle. So you can have many broadcast messages as possible. So when I click here, I can see my message one is still there. So you can have as much many events as you can. So how are we going to make them work simultaneously? Uh, I'm going to now have another event, which is when I receive um, a broadcast called circle. I want the word circle to play. So let's see how it's going to work. So when I click my spacebar, circle. You can see we can hear a circle 2 times as we can see the display of the text there. So this is the same that can work on our square. So you can make this as interactive as possible, and remember that you can have different background setups for this. For example, we can have an indoor setup, which is let me see one. And I don't know if we have a library. We have a room. So we can have different setups, but you can have a much clearer one. So it must blend with your project. So this one is just a blue sky. Um, so at this point, I want us to see, um, for you to suggest what else we can do with these small projects of shapes that we can do. From the chat, so you can just unmute. What do you think we can do more for this project so that it can be more interactive and also helpful to our students in life?
Uh, Stephen Sitati says that send the notes for later for better procedures of creating several projects. Thank you, Stephen. We will note that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you so much, Victor. Um, Thank you for taking us through that wonderful project. Um, I think maybe one of us would love to share their biggest takeaways. We've learned about how we can draw our own sprites and use various commands to create interactive projects. And I would love to share some of the resources that we have that Victor has gone through for a bit. So allow me share my screen. Mm. So some of the resources we have. Some of the resources are the EduTab Golan. So this is an app where you download it from Play Store. Then after downloading it, you can access some of the resources. One of them is this PPT that we have here. You will find it in the Golan. And then on the Scratch website, you get to create your own Scratch account so that you do your own project. Like for example, the project that we have done here, you can go and complete it on your Scratch account. Then you can join our WhatsApp community group. Faith, kindly share the link in the group. Yeah, you join that WhatsApp community group that Faith has shared the link in the chat. And then we have a Scratch Studio. So someone will ask me, what is the Scratch Studio? So this is a place where we have collective projects that have already been completed. So when you create your Scratch account and create a project, you now share it to our Scratch Studio. It's called EduTab Africa. Yes, and then we'll share with you the feedback survey on the chat. We'd love to hear from you what you've learned in this webinar. Yes, thank you so much. Faith, please help me share the survey link in the chat. Thank you so much, Faith. So please make sure you click those links that they will take you to the various places that we have suggested. And In this juncture, I welcome any questions or any opinions or any addition from you. But if there's none, I would love to end our webinar for today. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. And to add, we'll be having our webinar series every month. So if at the beginning we mentioned that last month we covered basics of Scratch. So today we've advanced a little. So we'll be having this series throughout the year, and each month we'll be hosting our webinar. So to stay updated, please make sure you at least join our WhatsApp channel and also follow our social media accounts. Yes. Thank you so much. If there's no question, then I would love to end our webinar for today. Bye. Thank you so much.